What's happening, you incredible people on the World Wide Web? Welcome to the Ipaintcreatures YouTube channel. I also am known as IPC out here on the interwebs, and I always welcome you in to the videos I put out, usually like 3 a week, and take you through my archives of my fantastical journey of being a visual storyteller, an award-winning poet, and an oral storyteller. And I specialize in what are known as yokai creatures. And I'm the producer and voice actor and director and overall creator of the epic world, story world, and manga, sci-fi, and fantasy called Matsu. And I'm bringing to you the next level Muppets, which are called the Funky Eye Puppets. I have 35 incredible voice actors and creative folks that have all come together to bring a lot of my story worlds and all my characters to life. And today I'm showing you the process in a speed paint of how I come up with all my fantastical creatures, classic yokai, which were invented by, old school storytellers in the 1600s, all the way to inventing them for my story of Matsu, to tell the tale of, mending your broken bones of your childhood and finding that fascination and that wonder and that imagination and that strength, to lift those seemingly obstacles out of your way and deliver your purpose and why you came to this fantastical planet for this journey called life. And here I'm showing the process of, how I fill up, just a cheap watercolor paper with a bunch of sketches that I've refined, and now I'm inking them. And love using my pigment black brush pens, and bring them into form and start to see their character. And a lot of these are made to bring into 2D rigging software, which gives them kind of a skeletal structure and allows morphing technology and all kinds of fantastical stretching of pixels. So it's just incredible that this is come into the times we live in, and I work in the tradition of going way back, to the beginning of when folklore creatures from my eastern roots came into being, and I invent them, plus I employ them. Right now, I'm doing a Kawa Uosa yokai, and it's a paper umbrella that's come to life, and a few other classic yokai in here, but I definitely evolved them and used the grand shoulders I'm riding of incredible franchises like Lucasfilm, which I used to be employed there, and of course Disney and Pixar and all the incredible franchises that make creative listenings of things. And so I'd like to explore a quote of one of my major influences, which is the great Shel Silverstein. And this quote that Shel says is, "There's a voice inside you that whispers all day long. I feel this is right for me. I know that this is wrong. And no preacher, teacher, parent, or friend, or wise man can decide what's right for you. Just listen to that voice that speaks inside." And this resonates so much because Shel found a way to deliver his short poems and his whimsical illustrations and bring humor and inspiration and use modern day folklore in the time that he existed. And I basically have taken on the tradition of what creators like him have done to Shigeru Mizuki, the grandfather of manga, and then, Charles Schulz, Jim Henson, Dr. Seuss, Maurice Sendak, even grand filmmakers like Akira Kurosawa, to bring the sublime and the the portals into the world where everything is infinite and possible in our imaginations. And a lot of that, you have to really listen to yourself. And my story of the Matsu and the Funky Eye Puppets is all about, really living in the harvest of the music that plays inside you, and that's why poetry, to me is the original music, and the human body was the instrument before we all evolved into the times we live in with this industrial and modern technology. And I'm doing a yokai right now, which is a classic yokai, but I evolved it, which is a sort of a kadama, which is an elemental spirit creature, which is a fireball. And imagine if you could speak to fire and learn its temperaments and learn its wheelhouse and learn where it comes from, and just the magic of taking that elemental use, that metaphoric use in your life, which is part of what Shel's talking about. That's the voice that speaks into you. I believe it really speaks in elemental terms, in the sense of water and fire, but also the elemental of what keeps you going, what keeps you inspired, from art to music to culture and food and dance. And it's so correct, especially in the time we live in, where there's access to just abundance amounts of information and ways of doing things and takes on things, that you can definitely come back to yourself and take a lot of those things in. Like, I'm inspired by Shel and what he did and the books he did, and I really always question myself, to listen to myself, and raise the question of what would Shel Silverstein do if he lived in these times, with YouTube and Twitch.tv, which you can visit me at twitch.tv/Ipaintcreatures, into the fantastical world that we're moving into of the NFTs, that at one level is a selling craze, but at the base level of it, it's a place for us to reunite and redefine capitalism and the way creators and artists distribute and publish their works, not necessarily always to gain the money and everything in it, but to take it to a whole nother level of evolving the culture and bringing forth new thoughts, and playing with a lot of cliches in the language, and making sure the creativity comes back in, which expands the dimensions of things, and gives us all the possibilities. And to do that, you definitely have to take in, the things from the teacher and the preacher and the parent and the friend, or even the wise being or the wise creature. But when it comes down to it, you're on your own journey. And when you really go inside yourself and listen to that voice that speaks inside, you could really plug into the collaborative nature of what this internet does, and network with each other, on the major platforms. Like, I love the Clubhouse, and how we're all kind of meeting through spirit and voice, and not having those visual judgments be in the way, and take us to the next level, and take it off there and build relationships, and the more all of us learn to listen to the voice that speaks inside of us, which I believe is the music, we all can come together and make massive beneficial changes in the world, have a happy life, and of course have rich experiences, and of course bring forth making art together, supporting unity, which is defining our culture and not depending on the machine and the system so much, and listening to each other make music and amplify that voice inside of us all. Thank you. Peace.